Okay, then can you switch the slide?
Yeah.
For me? Okay.
Sorry.
So this is about the BTC week. I already presented. And this presentation, what I made for the EELISA Bucharest conference. And the reason I show it to you is not because I'm lazy to do 2 presentations, it's because I need to put it in context. By the way, I think it's more important to put it in context, how to organize an internship for students and how to get sponsors. So it's more important to put it in context in which program we can do it and how is it connected to other EELISA activities. And that's what I want to tell or show to you, what kind of MSc program we created 2 years ago, how this BTC week, it will turn out soon, what it is, fits into this program, and what other EELISA activities can be connected to this program. So next slide, please. It's a MSc in Construction Information Technology Engineering. It's somewhat misleading, but this is a civil engineering MSc program. But this is strongly related to IT. That's why we put information technology in it. So we teach programming and program development to students. It's offered only in English, so we don't offer it in Hungarian anymore. On the first year, from last fall, 10 international and 8 Hungarian students started their program. Now in our freshmen are 10 international and 11 Hungarian students in the second year. We involve 6 faculties of BME. So there are staff from the Faculty of Electrical Engineering and Informatics, because they are teaching Python to our students. We have the Faculty of Economic and Social Sciences. They are teaching presentation and technology assessment to students and so on. We are both focusing on technical skills like IT, IoT, building electricity, HVAC systems, BIM, and non-technical skills, teamwork, lifelong learning, argumentation, negotiation, and so on for the students. And that's how this BTC activities fits in this program. Next slide, please. So as you see, we are teaching digitalization of the AEC industry, architecture, engineering, and construction. So we are showing students how to use VR and AR technologies. We are showing how to use 3D concrete printing and how these digitalization technologies supporting these new applications. Next slide, please. But since we have only a group of 20 students, we try to do it in a familiar way. We consider them as a team, and we go out together, professors with students. We celebrate Christmas together. So we have a very direct contact with them. They are coming from different countries with different backgrounds. So it's very important to learn their motivation to do this program. What kind of skills do they have? What are they interested in it? What are their problems? And so on. They are very different communication skills, very different background in IT, in informatics and engineering and so on. So, and we have very short time because it's 3 semesters, 1.5 years. And we have only 2 semesters of contact hours when we see the students, because in the last semesters, they are working on their diploma projects. So that was very important to have a direct contact with students, and we became good friends. Next slide, please. It's very project oriented. So in the first semester, they are working on IoT, working on sensors in the classroom. As you see, they are working on sensor networks, putting together temperature, humidity, light, whatever sensors a greenhouse or a smart building uses. They are working in a classroom and at home and so on. So that's in the classroom. And we figured out that in the spring semester, let's take them out from the university for 1 week. Let's put them in a building, living together and working together on this project. What they learned in the fall semester, how to use these IoT systems to build a smart home, let's allow them to build in a real environment. And that's what we call it. It's a kind of a practical training, and that needs funding. And in the next slide, I show you why. So next slide, please. So some words about BTC. It's the Balatonfüredi Tudásszentrum, that means the knowledge center of BME in Balatonfüred. And in this map, you see there's Budapest, and Balaton is the biggest lake in Hungary. So it's like a 1.5-hour drive from Budapest. So it's not easy to go back. So that's that was our intention to book a hotel for all the students. That was the highest expense, by the way, that needed funding. And we used the building of BME, this very new and modern building close to Balaton, and we lived for 5 days in there and worked in this building for 5 days. Next slide, please. And during the BTC week, the students are working with different sensors. They were organized in different groups, group of 3 or 4 students, and all the groups have different tasks. For example, one group in the middle, with you see the 4 guys in front of a desk. They worked in acoustic problems in a hall, so they deployed and mounted sensors in a hall, in a conference hall, to measure the sounds and voice and volume and everything like that. And other students are working on building energetics, measuring the heat conduction and whatever they measure during in case of a window, of a wall. And we organized classes showing, for example, the building electricity in this very new building, or the plumbing and ventilation AC system so we organized classes also besides the project work to this building. And next slide, please. But since we were, next slide, since we were together with 5 days, we booked an entire guest house for the students. So with, I don't know, with 10 rooms, so they lived together, and we had social programs. And this kind of bonding is very important to make this education very effective. So in the second semester of this program, based on the knowledge and skills we developed in the first semester, we moved 1 week out of Budapest. Next slide, please. For that, we need sponsors, and we contacted construction and facility management companies. These partners are also involved in cooperative training. So these are not new partners. They know what students we train in our programs, but this is a very new training. So they needed to understand, why is it important to us? Why is it important to the AEC industry? For example, the AEC industry has 2 flagship issues now. First is digitalization, and the second one is environmental protection or sustainability. So we need to put these 2 issues in focus. And that's why we selected construction companies and facility management companies. They are also involved in the cooperative training, so they are continuously receiving interns in the summer period. By the way, 6 weeks of internship is compulsory, mandatory for all the engineering students of BME. They have scholarship programs. So, for example, if they want to work at the company, we don't want to let students to work part-time for companies, because they need to attend the classes and do the courses. So instead, we convince the companies to offer scholarship programs, pay maybe a bit less money, but let them work less, only 1 day, for example, a week. So these companies are also involved in this kind of programs. And we needed like 5,000 euros for supporting, for financing some sensors, what we didn't have, and accommodation. And we used the foundation. It's not too easy to receive funds for industrial partners to the university. So they just cannot knock on the door and give me money and then let's spend it. So we need the financing background, and we have a foundation of the faculty. It's not a university foundation. And they paid this amount to this foundation. And on the other hand, besides, they have like they want to support the overall AEC digitalization or whatsoever. We put them, we gave them publicity. So in social media posts, we put always who are the funding companies. We put social media posts every day of the BTC week. After the BTC week, besides the faculty webpage, we contacted like journals or other portals dealing with AEC industry, and we have this small news and descriptions about this program. So it's definitely worth to the companies. And next slide, please. And how is it connected to ELISA activities? Our other pilot, what we've figured out in this spring semester, is offering an ELISA course to the students. We called it European Engineering Project Work. It was 5 ECTS, so pretty big ECTS value, so 5 credits, 150 working hours for the students. It has linked to regular courses and the BTC week. So in the BTC week, they're built smart homes, greenhouses. And in this ELISA course, we wanted students to develop a virtual service or a product. And for that, the reason we created this course is developing non-technical skills. Like they learned how to use project management tools. They learned how to create a business model or business plan. They attended a sales and investment presentation. They learned how to present their knowledge and accomplishments. They worked in teams and so on. And so non-technical skills. Next slide, please, because I think a new image will show up. No, go back, please. Go back, please, one. I think this is not the last one, but whatever, I will have a separate slide on that. Because if you check the regulations of ENAEE, which is the European Network for Accreditation of Engineering Education, and CEFI, which is the European Society for Engineering Education, yes, this is it. They have, if you see the list of skills needed for the future engineers, and I highlighted those non-technical skills, because yeah, that's boring. We teach them how to compute and calculate something and how to develop something, but the industry requires many other skills, non-technical skills, ability to communicate effectively, work in teams, project management skills, lifelong learning, ethical skills, leadership skills. And that's what we developed in this ELISA project. Go back, Dora, please, one slide. Yes, and besides giving courses linked to this skills development, we joined to an ELISA community. It's from UPM, SASBCC. This is the Sustainable Buildings community of ELISA. And we managed to organize a hackathon in Madrid for 4 days in June. 24 students from BME. We provided the largest group. Thank you. This is our group in Madrid. So the colleagues, Sergio Vega in Madrid, organized us trips to smart buildings, IoT systems, greenhouses, and the students attended the hackathon. They in groups with other students. So the BME students were mixed with Turkish, French, and Spanish students, and they work on different projects. And at the end, they presented the results. And the partner companies of UPM funded some gifts and presents and prizes for the students. And next slide, please. Next slide, please, Dora. Yes. So in summary, don't I have a different? Okay, maybe it's yeah, this one. This is the extra. So yeah, I go for the extra. Yes. I want to emphasize this one. So since we have this direct connection with students, this small group of students, we go out together, we go together to this BTC week, we let them connected to industrial partners. It has, they started to, even international students, being here for like only 8 months in Hungary, they are working in Hungarian companies now part-time. They had the opportunity to attend an internship in the first summer. That's very, very new to us because they need much more time usually. And we have some of the students applied for PhD, and now the alumni works because these students are helping the freshmen, the new students of our, I guess you are raising your hands because the time is over. So let's go to this last slide, Dora. So the summary, we developed the novel education program and curriculum. We apply innovative teaching methods, and the BTC week is perfectly integrated in this one. And using this ELISA course, we can lead to ELISA activities. Thank you for your attention, and sorry for the overtime.
No problem, Tamás. Thank you for your enthusiastic presentation. I think it's a very good example for others to follow, how to bond with students and how to get them close to companies and internships. And now I give the word to Idil to talk about possible ways of engagement.
Thank you very much for the opportunity, but I feel a little bit unlucky to follow Tamas because he had this wonderful, every time I listen to this, I get the goosebumps, really. I mean, this is a wonderful example how to engage students. So I'd like to refer to Tamas's presentation if he will let me as well, because indeed engagement is about involvement. So, of course, Balázs also talked about the principles of ELISA, which is basically knowledge sharing, collaboration, co-creation, and of course, mobility. But mobility is not mostly about changing places, but it's rather engaging people, building bridges, making it a meaningful experience for everyone. So if we're going to talk about engagement, perhaps we need to understand that there are several parties involved. So being students, universities, and other external stakeholders being public and private institutions. And throughout ELISA 1.0 and probably and hopefully throughout 2.0, we'll be working towards how to build bridges among these constituents. So if I may just share my own screen, is that okay, Dora, rather than telling you next slide? Is it okay, or would you like to, or can I?
I think it's easier if she moves your slides, Adil,
Right.
because it's all in compact form.
Just don't want to bother her with that. Okay,
no, don't worry.
But anyway, I gave you the control. You didn't go to, you have the, you okay, can thank you. Do it yourself. Okay, thanks. I'll try. I'm not very familiar with Teams, where I'm more of a Zoom person. Yeah, okay, I'm trying. But, yeah, okay. So, oops, sorry. So yes, building bridges. I think it's meaningful to build bridges, meaningful experiences. So as I was saying, there are three. I'm not going to waste this valuable time by stating the obvious, and of course all the other esteemed presenters mentioned some of the topics that I was going to, so I don't want to repeat these points. But of course it's a very unique opportunity for young people, especially to immerse themselves in a slightly unfamiliar places, going out their comfort zone and broaden their horizons. So this is actually one of the perhaps main goals of ELISA's student mobility. That's what we're trying to achieve. But it's not just only about personal growth or academic growth, it's also about professional growth. Being a professor of human resources management, I always mention this to my students. So yes, university is wonderful, yet you have to develop yourselves professionally as well. So the quicker, the faster they have access to, especially international internships, seem to be a very, very valuable experience for everyone. Yes, so it's also, of course, it goes without saying, it's also very good for networking among employers, perhaps other potential colleagues in the future, and they will have this very valuable opportunity to get in touch with those people. Otherwise, perhaps would have been difficult to do so. And of course, it looks good on their resumes as well. So, having this international experience. So by perhaps emphasizing these values, the added values to students through several channels, we can perhaps think about some ways of engaging these students into doing an international internship. Well, for ITU students, I'm happy to inform you that they're all very eager to do that, because I'm also the Erasmus coordinator for my department, and every year I witness more and more students willing to go abroad for academic purposes, and I'm sure we can extend that to internship as well. So I have it's totally my fault. I forgot to send one additional slide to Dora, but I'm just mentioning those topics embedded into these slides. So if you don't mind, I'll just go along as such. And I want to use time efficiently. So perhaps I was thinking when it comes to engaging students, and perhaps we can discuss this further together as well. Faculty mentorship seemed to be very important. because we have this academic advising system, probably you do as well. So if we can encourage our students to take such an international internship, it works really well. Also, from my Erasmus experience, I see that peer-to-peer exchange, sharing exchanging experiences seem to work really well. So students learn from one another, they motivate and influence each other. So peer-to-peer experience sharing is important. Of course, where to do it, how to do it, probably perhaps using certain online resources. Now, the young people are very native of these resources, using social media posts, websites, or perhaps arranging certain online events, activities to share such information might help these students engage more into international internships. Yes, as for the next slide, I don't have many, so I'll finish quickly. So as for the universities, of course, we always considered students when it comes, and companies or other external authorities when it comes to internship. However, universities seem to benefit a lot from this experience as well. So for one thing, it gives visibility to each and every institution that is involved in international internships. Also, it's an opportunity to perhaps make our research more visible in those companies by sending our representatives, being the students, to do interns in such companies as well. It's also good for international reputation. Attracting talented professors to our universities with our perhaps improved university-industry relations. Data sharing, research, and for innovation. Of course, it goes without saying that teaching has taken a new look. It's not just academic research. It has to be combined with practical applications, especially in engineering. So data sharing and perhaps engaging in new or novel initiatives might be an asset for universities as well. And of course, it creates an equal opportunity for our students, so it's good for inclusiveness and diversity. So in many respects, universities do benefit from international internships. So how to engage our universities? Our universities are already engaged with ELISA. However, we can perhaps, as I have mentioned, faculty mentorship. Perhaps we can encourage our professors, our advisors to help our students feel engaged with regards to doing an international internship. And also top management support is, of course, important university-wide. And when it comes to the external stakeholders, Alex was also mentioning it, throughout the career days, we were thrilled to see that companies are very interested in attracting talent from abroad, from Europe, from very distinctive universities. So yes, of course, if we can emphasize the value added points for external partners, perhaps it will also help them engage more and perhaps offer more positions for international students. It's very good for their brand image, for one thing. So employer branding is a big thing today. It helps them compete by attracting such international talent. Also, of course, diversity inclusion, I have mentioned that. So yes, well, I think the key to engage external stakeholders is probably keeping the relationship alive. And at IT, we're trying to establish a system for Esra was asking about that, a system for tracking the needs and wants of our probable and potential as well as current stakeholders, partners, so that we have clear understanding of what they expect from us, from students, and what are their needs. Are they willing to provide an internship on a longer period of time? What are the qualifications necessary? What's the criteria for selection? So I think it's important to keep a close touch, close contact. Again, online resources, websites seem to be helpful in engaging and informing perhaps our stakeholders. Again, as Alex was mentioning it, as my final comment, I think, and today it's a great pleasure for me to introduce our head of career center, Professor Çiçek Ersoy is with us today, and I'd like to welcome her and thank you for her attendance to this meeting. Çiçek.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Hello, everyone. Nice to meet you.
Thank you for joining us, and perhaps we may, I'm consulting with her, of course, right now, but perhaps we can combine your career days, you know, that is done in a very, with a high turnout, many, how many companies were there last time in career days? We had so many.
Over 100 companies. It was the last May. And now we are organizing another one end of October, and we are again expecting over 100 companies, and most of them they are global companies in Turkey.
Wonderful. So perhaps it may be a good idea to combine ELISA Career Days with our ITU Career Days to give it a more international feel. And of course, we have this opportunity finder in ELISA, and perhaps it's a very influential tool to engage our stakeholders as well as our students. Thank you very much for your patience and listening to me. Have a great day. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Adil, and thank you for your input from ITU. Actually, this is one of our key goals to exploit in a positive way our local job fairs and career days within the institution. One good example, if I may comment, was done in the BME last year, that we do have an ELISA booth out there, and there is a career days, and that increases the visibility. So yeah, that's one of the ways to go forward. And last but not least, I thank Alma from MIN PSL to be with us here and talk a bit about the mobility options, because on the international level, we can see that we cannot do everything online. Alma, please.
Yeah. So thank you very much, Balázs, and thank you also, Idil, because I think it was super interesting, your introduction, because, for example, for me, I'm the leader of the Work Packet 7, who is mobility, student participation and inclusion, and to engage the student, to engage the staff is really a hot topic when you are talking about mobility, as you perfectly say at the beginning. So thank you very much. And if you have some free time, maybe you can help Work Packet 7 with some ideas to engage the students, because that idea about the faculty mentorship, I think it's quite interesting when we are talking about some specific kind of mobilities, like, for example, Erasmus internship in labs or research internship, that kind of things. I think could be really important. So if I try to, I don't know how to take the control of the slide.
Well, I think I cannot give you a control because
okay.
you are guest.
So just
if you in a list.
So if you can pass to the next slide, please. So
yeah,
thank
sure.
you. Okay. So my aim today is just to talk to you about the tools that we have been developing in the Work Packet 7 to try to develop mobilities and to increase different kind of mobilities. And at the beginning, we have tried to map what are these different kind of mobilities, and we have tried also then to set up a different kind of initiative to develop that particular mobilities. And you can find also in the last column what are the ELISA recognition system that we have developed right now. to really recognize these mobilities that we are developing. So, for example, in the first part, in the top part, when we are talking about long-term mobility, for example, face-to-face students who are traveling from one partner to another to do 1 semester of Erasmus exchange or 2 semesters, as well as double degree students, because some ELISA partners has already some double degree programs. We are trying to develop that we have called the ELISA different call for mobility and ELISA international fairs, where the aim is to let the students know better the ELISA partners. So each partner make a small introduction about the ELISA partner to explain who are they, what kind of studies the students can follow, what are the services that they propose, etc. And then the way to recognize that, of course, when it's a double degree, a joint master will be the degree, the degree that they will obtain in the partner university, and also the first ELISA degree that we hope that we are going to give soon to the students, because first programs are being developed for joint masters. And then when we are talking also about virtual mobility, and even short-term mobility, like for Erasmus exchange or other more short mobility, for example, seminars of 1 week, 2 weeks, etc. We are also developing what we call the ELISA catalog, and more concretely, right now we call that the ELISA mobility finder opportunities. That it's already online, and the students, they can find opportunities to move around, and they can find what kind of courses are available in each different ELISA partners. And then as far as they obtain at least 6 ECTS, they can obtain an ELISA supplement. And you also know that if they are doing more short-term mobilities inside a community, they can obtain badges and credentials. And so on. For example, talking about short-term mobilities, we are developing 3 different types. For example, seminars, conference, workshops. We have been also developing the first BIP, blended intensive programs, who are also funded by Erasmus. And there are also some seasonal schools and also Athens courses, and some BIPs, the seminars, the conference, and the seasonal schools are developed through the communities, and the professors who are proposing this kind of activities. Normally, they advertise these activities in the community platform, but right now also we have made a kind of connection between the mobility, the community platform, and the mobility finder. And then, if the students are going through the mobility finder, they are going also to find the activities who are proposed by the communities, because we are using the same database. And I think that that's quite interesting, because in the mobility finder right now they can find almost all the opportunities for mobility among ELISA partners, and that's quite interesting. And then the last point, and this is the topic for today, is about the internship. Of course, you can develop internship in a company, and is the team of Balázs and BME who is trying to develop that part of the ELISA internship, but they already explain how they are developing that. And there is the other part. And when we also talk about internship, is what the internship in a lab, or a student who is going to conduct a small time of research in a lab of another ELISA institution. And then the idea in somehow will be to develop an ELISA visiting program or ELISA research internship program or something like that. For the moment, what we are doing in work package 7, and then you can go to the next slide, please, about this visiting research internship. Is that we have created a task force between different work package 5, 6, and also InnoCore, with the idea also to map all the tools that we are developing among us. And for example, from work package 5, they are developing a mapping of the different thematic of all the labs around ELISA, and that is quite interesting because InnoCore is in somehow doing something similar. And then after that work during ELISA Phase 1, I think that we are going to have at the end a really good mapping about all the labs and about all the thematics that a student can find among ELISA partners if he's interested in doing research. And that is important because when you are trying to orientate a student who is interested to do a research period abroad, the first question is always, okay, where can I go? What kind of labs and what kind of topics they are working in each specific lab? So to have that kind of mapping is really important because it will help to better give orientation to the students. Because as Idel say, maybe there are also the possibility to do like a faculty mentorship, and a lot of time a professor know another professor who is working in a similar topic in another institution and he can advise to the student to go there. But I think that if we have a kind of official mapping about the labs, it will really help to orientate the students. And what we propose from Work Package 7 is we are collecting this information, and then the idea will be to make the connection between all the people who is in charge of mobility in each ELISA partner to facilitate the process of application and so on, because the idea will not be to have one student applying directly to the lab. We want to really help the students to find the opportunities and then to also facilitate the process for applying in the labs. And we are starting to do that. For example, we have students from Santana who are coming to Paris, and the international coordinator of Santana just sent us the CV and the research interest of the students, and we are trying to match that with our labs and to find really a suitable lab for them. But when we will have the mapping finalized, it will be much more easy because we will be able to send it to the students. Another possibility also is that the professor interested to offer an internship in its lab make an offer through the community platform. It's also another possibility that they can also introduce an activity in the community platform. Just explaining that they are able to host some students, and then the students will have the information in the community platform, but also in the mobility app finder, because as I say, both will be connected. And next slide that I wanted also to say is what are the funding opportunities today for internship, and more specifically for internship in a lab. One of them is the Erasmus Plus internship, because you already, I think that you already know that, but using Erasmus funds is also possible to get fundings for internship. And it's not only for academic purpose, but the students who are doing abroad at least from 2 to 12 months of internship can get an Erasmus grant, and it's the same for the students also who are doing to do a period of research. They can have Erasmus grants, and it's quite difficult to put and a specific amount for the grant, because you know that it depends in the country of destination, and it depends if the students is a students considered with less opportunities, because they can have a top up of the grant, but more or less they can have around 200 euros or 300 until 700 euros by month. That is not so bad. And it's also maybe nice to know that an Erasmus internship period can be combined to a study period. So, for example, a student who will be abroad to do a semester and then to continue in the same country to do an internship, and it could be in a lab or in a company, they can accumulate the grant. And it can be also combined to a blended mobility. So, for example, if in a community they have launched a seasonal school with a part face-to-face and a virtual part, and then the student wants to conduct a small period of time doing research in that lab, it's possible to combine all that and to get a grant for that. Another possibility also, when we are talking about more short-term mobilities involving an internship or a research period in a lab, could be to the ELISA, what I call the seed funding. But ELISA has launched two calls for communities with the idea to get some funding for the communities, and you can also at least get some funding for travel grant or to organize also the seasonal school and to organize the activities. And sometimes also, but it depends in the host university, sometimes it's possible also to have some local fundings from the home university, because, for example, sometimes there are other specific funding, not only Erasmus, but for example, here in France, we can obtain some fundings coming from the region of Paris that are giving also money for internship, that kind of things. And also for the home institution part, sometimes also any specific funding may exist. For example, in France, when you have a student working in a lab more than 2 months, it's mandatory to pay them. So, for example, it's nice to know that if they are staying more than 2 months and if the lab is agreed to host them more than 2 months, then they are going to get paid because it's mandatory in France. And sometimes, even if it's not mandatory, in some labs, they can have a specific funding that because they get a specific grant from Horizon 2020 and things like that. So sometimes it's also nice to check, and we hope that in ELISA phase 2 we are able to really map also these different funding opportunities to facilitate and to give the information to the students. And I think that I know, and I had a last slide, but I will let you check that. One is the ELISA welcome desk, because when you are talking about mobility, you also need to think about how you are going to welcome the students in your university, and also to facilitate the access to the information. So we have created an ELISA welcome desk where the student can find the different contact points in each institution, and where we are going to provide information about accommodation and the different this kind of logistical question for the students. And as also told you, also the mobility, the ELISA Mobility Finder opportunities, that is also online, and you can check the opportunities that are there, and you can also advertise to your students. And for it's okay for me. Thank you very much.